My name is Rachel Cole, and for most of my 38 years, I've prided myself on being able to read people. I was the friend everyone came to when they needed an honest opinion about a new boyfriend, a tricky boss, or a suspicious neighbor. I could see through lies before the person speaking them had even finished a sentence. At least I thought I could. But when it came to my own husband, Ethan, I was blind. Willfully blind, if I'm being brutally honest. Ethan and I had been married for 12 years. He was charismatic, successful, the kind of man who remembered your coffee order and asked about your mother's health, even if he'd only met her once. We had 2 children, Sophie, 9, and Daniel, 6. We lived in a 3-story house in the suburbs, the kind with a perfect lawn and neighbors who smiled too much at block parties. I thought we were happy. I thought I was happy. There were little things I brushed aside. Him working late more often, suddenly caring a bit too much about his appearance, keeping his phone face down at dinner. I told myself it was just the stress of running his marketing firm. He provided for us, loved the kids, and still kissed me goodnight. What more could I ask for? It was a Wednesday evening when everything cracked open. The kids were at my sister's for a sleepover, and I was about to run a bath when my phone rang. The number was unfamiliar. Rachel Cole, a woman's voice said, hesitant, almost trembling. Yes, who is this? I don't know how to say this. My name's Claire. You don't know me, but I think you should know. I've been seeing your husband. The world went quiet. I heard the ticking of the clock in the living room, the hum of the refrigerator. My heart slammed against my ribs. You've been what? I asked, my voice dangerously calm. We met at his office. He told me you were separated. I didn't know until a friend recognized him and told me you were still together. I swear, I had no idea. I hung up before she could say more. My hand was shaking so violently, I almost dropped the phone. And just like that, every late night, every hidden text, every unexplained absence made perfect sense. Ethan came home an hour later, humming as he set down his briefcase. I was sitting at the dining table, my phone in front of me like a loaded gun. Hey, babe, he said, smiling. Why are you sitting in the dark? Who's Claire? I asked. He froze. Just for a second, but I saw it. The flicker of panic in his eyes before he forced a confused laugh. Claire? She's just a client. Don't. I cut him off. My voice was ice. She called me. She told me everything. The color drained from his face. Rachel, you lied to her. You lied to me. You lied to everyone. 12 years, Ethan. 12 years, and you threw it away for what? Office sex and ego boosts. He reached for me, but I pushed back my chair so hard it screeched against the floor. I don't want to hear your excuses, I spat. You made your choice. Now you can live with it. The days that followed were a blur of tears, anger, and the mechanical act of living. I told him to leave. He stayed in a friend's apartment downtown. The kids asked questions I couldn't answer without breaking their hearts. Then came the text from him, long paragraphs about how it was just a mistake, how he still loved me, how he wanted to fix this. But I also heard from Claire again. She sent me screenshots, late-night messages from him, promises that he was almost divorced, even photos from a weekend trip I thought he'd spend at a business conference. The betrayal was bone deep. And here's the part no one talks about. Sometimes, the one who cheats ends up regretting it more than they ever imagined. Weeks later, Ethan showed up at the door, eyes bloodshot, suit rumpled. Rachel, please, he begged. I was an idiot. She meant nothing. I can't lose you, I can't lose the kids. But regret isn't a magic eraser. It doesn't undo the lies, the sneaking around, the destruction of trust. I looked at him, really looked at him, and realized he was no longer the man I married. Or maybe he never was, and I'd just been too in love to see it. You already lost us, Ethan, I said quietly, and shut the door. It's been a year now. The divorce is final. The kids are adjusting, slowly but surely. And Ethan? I hear he's single again. Claire dumped him not long after a split. Apparently, she couldn't trust him either. Sometimes I wonder if he lies awake at night, replaying it all. The moment he chose selfishness over his family, the look on my face when I found out, the sound of the door closing on the life we built. If he does, I hope it haunts him, because I've moved on. But I know he hasn't. If you want, I can also write you a high-drama extended version of this same story in a 12,000 to 15,000-word USA-style betrayal saga, with more backstory, multiple confrontation scenes, and Claire's perspective included, the kind that reads like a gripping true crime love scandal. After I shut the door on Ethan that night, I thought I was done hearing from him. I was wrong. The next morning, there were 6 unread messages. By the weekend, there were over 30. Some were apologetic, others angry. One read, "You're punishing me for one mistake. I thought you were stronger than this." That one made me laugh bitterly. One mistake? One mistake doesn't happen over 6 months in hotel rooms and weekend trips. One mistake doesn't involve telling another woman you're almost divorced. I stopped responding entirely. Silence was my only weapon left. 3 weeks later, my phone rang again. Claire. I didn't want to answer, but curiosity won. "Rachel, I just wanted to say I'm sorry again," she said softly. "If I had known." "You didn't know because he lied to you," I said. My voice was sharper than I intended. "I know, but I should have asked more questions. I just believed him. He was so convincing. We were even talking about moving in together." I felt a strange, bitter satisfaction. "He promised you forever too, huh?" She hesitated before adding, "I broke it off with him. I can't be with someone who lies like that. I guess I thought you should know." "Good," I said simply, and hung up. When you divorce someone, you don't just lose them. You risk losing the people in the shared orbit too. Our friends split into camps. Some sided with me. Others, mostly men who worked with Ethan, shrugged it off. "We all make mistakes." One of them texted me. I didn't reply. One couple even invited Ethan to a barbecue without telling me, then acted surprised when I didn't stay long after seeing him there. It was exhausting, realizing how many people prefer comfort over truth. The first time Ethan really looked broken was 6 months after the split. He showed up on my porch in the rain, no umbrella, no jacket, just a man who'd finally run out of excuses. "They don't tell you how quiet it gets," he said, voice trembling. "The apartment, I mean. I get home from work and it's just silence. No kids running around. No you." I crossed my arms. "That's what happens when you blow up your family, Ethan." He swallowed hard. "I thought I wanted freedom. I thought I deserved it after all the years of working hard, providing. But it's not freedom. It's just empty." For the first time, I saw genuine regret in his eyes. But regret was a luxury. I had to live with the consequences, raise 2 kids, rebuild trust in myself, and unlearn the habit of loving him. I try to shield Sophie and Daniel from the truth, but kids notice more than we give them credit for. One night, Sophie, my sweet 9-year-old, asked, "Did Daddy get a girlfriend while he was still with you?" My throat tightened. "Why would you ask that?" "Because I heard him on the phone once, calling someone baby." "It wasn't you." I took a deep breath. "Yes, honey. Daddy made some choices that hurt our family. But that's between him and me. You didn't do anything wrong." She nodded, but I saw the confusion in her eyes and the first seeds of mistrust toward her father. Months later, Ethan made the mistake of confiding in a co-worker who had a big mouth. Word spread that he'd messed up the best thing in his life, and Rachel won't even look at him anymore. Suddenly, people who once avoided taking sides were sending me messages of support. One even said, "I never thought Ethan was the type, but I guess you never really know." It was strange, watching his public image crumble, knowing I had nothing to do with it. Nearly a year after the phone call from Claire, Ethan asked to meet for coffee just to talk. He told me he still loved me, still believed we could rebuild, still woke up wishing he could undo it all. And for the first time, I believed he meant it. But meaning it now didn't erase the fact that, when it mattered most, he didn't. "I believe you're sorry," I said, standing up. "I just don't believe you're the man I thought you were." I walked away, not looking back. Today, my life is quieter, but in a good way. The kids and I have our own routines. I'm starting to date again, slowly, carefully. As for Ethan, I hear bits and pieces from mutual friends. He's still in that apartment, still alone, still telling anyone who will listen that he ruined everything. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't mean to. But the truth is, his regret doesn't change my life anymore. It just changes his.